There's definitely an art scene in Staten Island. Don't be fooled by mainstream media. Staten Island has little pockets of art, creative people, new businesses. Say your name and title, and I'll do mine.
All right. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Bennett, the Executive Director at Staten Island Arts.
And I'm Jenna Mimoso, Deputy Director.
And today we're going to be taking you on a tour of some of our favorite locations and businesses on the North Shore of Staten Island,
highlighting the connection between art, commerce, and culture. Here we are at Everything Goes Book Cafe, where literally everything goes. You can find music, you can find art, you can find food, you can find it all here at Everything Goes. This place is like the closest to New Orleans in New York. They've made their own library here, people donate books, and they're educating the community around them, which is very important. And now I'm in my living room here at ETG.
I think I'm gonna buy this one. I think I found a winner. Jane Pitney.
It says, kids, you need an adult if you want to see how this works.
So welcome to Staten Island Makerspace. This is a place that's at the intersection of old traditions and new artistic practices, and it's a place where everybody can find everyone else in the Staten Island art community. Emily, can you tell us a little bit about the Makerspace members who are operating their own small businesses out of Makerspace?
Michael Ardito, he runs a company called Hometown Type, and he restores and resells typewriters. So it's kind of magical in a way.
I've noticed that his space has grown.
Yes.
And I hope that that's because his business is growing.
Yeah, absolutely. So he is actually one of the last typewriter repair shops in New York.
Wow.
And he's right here in Makerspace.
Here we are, flagship brewery, the renaissance of brew culture on Staten Island.
The way this place looks now has a lot to do with how the community wanted it to be. A lot of the stuff you see like this flag those are by people that just hang out here. They just did that one day, you know.
There's an art scene here. He just said it, we're here, we're all here.
And I think that's what makes a community or a neighborhood attractive to just be around or live or open a business. That's what might get people to this neighborhood for the first time. That's what people that frequent this neighborhood, I think, love about it, and we just want to be somewhere in there.
Hi, Julia.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, Julia.
Hello. Hi.
Oh my God, Julia looks amazing.
Thank you. It goes all the way to the back, so if you, so.
You did such a beautiful job setting this up. Am I spelling Jasmine?
Yeah, Jasmine.
Okay.
That was a great guess. Everyone just wonders like, oh, what's that smell when we come in? And I'm like, Jasmine, but you're the first person to figure it out what it was.
So when people drive down Bay Street and they come into the Bay Street corridor, if they're coming from the Verrazano Bridge, one of the first things that they see as they enter the Bay Street corridor is the mural of elephants, the beautiful golden doors that are the doors of your family's restaurant, La Caruana.
You know, a lot of people doesn't really come down to Bay Street as often, but once we did the murals and the golden door, people started to notice like, oh, I should go in there.
Well, and once people pass by it, they will never forget it.
And they'll never forget, and they try to come back.
The family that owns La Caruana was looking for a way to share its cultural heritage with the rest of the world. And so the young daughter of the restaurant owner founded the museum, which you can now visit.
So here we are at Hypnotronic Comics, steps away from the Staten Island Ferry Terminal. And a large part of their business is supporting local makers and creators that work here on Staten Island.
This place is a mecca for anybody creative in the area. We're promoting them, and they tell everybody our stuff is available at Hypnotronic Comics.
Right.
So it's a cross-promotion deal. It's great.
Right, that's a local artist up there on your wall.
Yes, Santo. He's our local artist. We've sold a few of his pieces before.
This is from an artist, Melissa Prieb. She makes jewelry with comic books, and these are some of the things that she brings in. She also makes frames, and we sold out of those because they're awesome, so I got to get some more of those in.
I think what we've done is we've just basically have this great support system that crosses not only through art and culture, but through commerce as well.
And we do that by supporting our local independently owned businesses, which are often owned by artists.
He's got free posters for us.
Graduated from Hypnotronic Comics.
Thanks.
Welcome everyone to our nightly Q&A with the filmmakers from the Downtown Film Festival, and tonight we are talking about music. These are filmmakers from the One Note at a Time Music Shorts program. Welcome everyone. I'll introduce everyone here in a second. First, I just want to take care of a couple of the housekeeping things. One, the chat, the window that you're watching in should have a chat somewhere, either above or below. or to the side, depending on what device you're on. Please feel free to ask questions right in there, drop them in there, and hopefully we'll be able to get to them sometime during the Q&A. The other thing I wanted to acknowledge is the tremendous work that Staten Island Arts program or the Staten Island Arts staff has really supported this film festival. Also, a big shout out to our friends Kenneth Paul Media and Kimbra, who really helped actually bring this whole program together. Also wanted to thank our Cinema Connex partners in the Bay Street corridor. These are restaurants and other small businesses that have really helped us be able to promote the program. And we are asking that everyone take some time to stay local, and help supporting all these great partners. Also want to give a big shout out to the New York City Department of Small Business Services and the Neighborhood 360 program. It's the funding through this program that was really designed to promote businesses in downtown Staten Island and the Bay Street corridor that gave us our funding. So thank you very much. I think that pretty much takes care of it. So let's get started. We have with us, let me go up here. We have Carl, who's going to be with us here from No Way. Hello, Carl. How are you?
I'm quite well, and you?
Doing well. We have Tom Moore with Better Luck. Tom, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
And we have David, who is here with Part of the Scene. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, hey, hello.
And we also have Stevie Blue, which I think most of us probably know and recognize, who's also here with Part of the Scene. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
So I kind of want to start by doing just a round robin around and sort of talk about the inspiration for the movies and just sort of how they came about being made. Tom, let's start with you. Better Luck. Where did it come from? What was the inspiration?
Well, I guess that's hard to say. Well, I guess it's like kind of a film where if you have some sort of like a pair of eyes and you go out and you see the streets and you see what's happening and what's going on, you kind of absorb some sort of anger, you know, and that anger is manifested through this character in Better Luck. The anger that particularly that a musician, and especially a street musician, comes to feel. Disappointment in those passing by, you know, inability to connect, things like that, you know. I guess just a variety of feelings and things that created this character and this thing that was Better Luck. You know, Kevin, I think you're muted there.
Yep, I am. I tried to mute to get rid of the background noise and I failed. Anyway, yeah, it's really, as content creators, it's, you know, we want to be able to shine a light on what's happening around us, and to be able to tell those stories to sort of bring light to things, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, bring light. I guess through the darkness that I felt, I tried to bring some kind of light, you know. Yeah, it worked, I'm not sure.
I liked the song a lot. That was a good song.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I liked your movie quite a lot.
Oh, thanks.
Carl, let's go to you. So you made this recently. What brought you to do it?
Actually, it started out as a love song. I was just observing people who get together who have nothing in common. But somebody goes and starts something, and a little bit of nothing goes a long way. And the next thing you know, they're in a relationship. I write a lot of songs. I don't do a lot of videos. What happens is, as I kept writing it, current events kept creeping into my head. And it suddenly went from a love song to what the hell was going on song. And I just found that No Way was something I heard everybody saying. And as I began to play with the song more and more, it began to take shape. When I do make a video for a song, it's what happens is I start to see pictures of the song in my head when I play it and I sing it, and then I know that I got to do something to try and get that out in that way, and that's how it started, and that's how it evolved. And it's nowhere, you know, it's nothing like what I started out doing. I'm always surprised to see where I end up and how this thing came out, and how they kind of write me, you know. It's like I kind of just do stuff and it comes out, and I have a lot of happy mistakes, and stuff is like, that's pretty good, and then I just keep going. So that's kind of the story. It was not a planned, methodical thing.
Okay. Yeah, and talk a little bit about the production. There was, you're as you described to me in an email once, you're a one-man band. So, what was it like putting it together?
Well, the deal is I'm very difficult to work with. So, so the problem is that I wind up writing the song. I record the whole thing. I play all the instruments. I sing all the parts. I do the whole thing. So after I do that, then I find that I want to shoot the video. It's really hard for me to convey what I like. So I basically shot everything myself and did everything myself. So everything on that video is either me playing it, singing it, shooting it, directing it, except for Steve, who was nice enough to be a wonderful wizard for me.
Oh yeah, that was fun. That was a fun cameo.
So, Phoebe and David, let's talk about part of the scene. Phoebe, for you putting together this ongoing series, and David filming it.
Yes. Well, so I had this 2-year, once a month event where I would have half a dozen acts and not repeat anyone. So it turned out to be like 145 multi-genred art performances. And when I was coming down to the last few months, I knew I wanted to document it. So I communicated with David and our friend Audrey if they could show up and film some stuff and edit it later, and
Yeah, much later sometimes.
no timeline, and so that's what happened.
Yeah, I have made Phoebe and I, and Phoebe being one half of the musical group Blurple, we made a music video, I think a year prior to when she asked, and we've been friends and pals for some time, and she asked me to, with Audrey Bear, document the last few shows. And so in part of the scene, it's the last few shows, but just kind of like a little time capsule of music and performance from that part of Staten Island during that part of the what would you call it, the 2010s. Yeah.
And talk a little bit about the production, just sort of being there and recording, because it feels very, except for the interviews, it feels very sort of like you're actually in the room getting to experience these acts as they're going on.
Oh, I'm glad about that. I I've been trying more and more, and definitely then I have Phoebe asking me was an opportunity to be looser with filming people, with filming events and actions, and I just love putting music and imagery together, and it was all the better that it was actually in real life documenting something.
Nice.
And Phoebe and I and Audrey, we didn't have much there wasn't a hierarchy in terms of how what the film wanted to say. It was just kind of, I look at it now as a little visual time capsule of what Phoebe was doing, but more so what kind of a particular portion of a community in Staten Island was doing at that time. Because Phoebe is continuing on to make events no matter what and music no matter what, but that was then and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a specific capsule in time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Tom, if you could talk a little bit about shooting, and just sort of like the cinematography, because the film looked incredibly beautiful, and just your choice of going black, white, color, that kind of thing.
Well, the black and white was kind of from the start, I kind of figured I'd do it in that, just because it's sort of a bleak idea that's happening, so I felt like black and white was good. And actually what really made it have to be black and white was that the building behind me was really like a bright baby blue, and I just felt that would have really ruined the whole vibe of the film to have a baby blue building behind me as I'm freaking out and going into complete destruction. But the whole the shooting, it was all one day. Actually, a good friend of mine who worked at the CSI film department, he was going back to Japan. He was moving back to Japan that weekend. So my access to the equipment to film it was also leaving that weekend. So we only had one day to film everything. And we filmed the freak out scene twice, actually. I got two $30 guitars on Amazon just to break them and destroy them. Not the same guitars I recorded it with, obviously. And I just broke them as needed. The first time it just got a little, it was just the lighting was really, really bad in the first freak out. So we had to do it one more time. And then we did that. And it was kind of a rushed thing in retrospect. There were a few things that if I would have had maybe 2 or 3 days to shoot it that I would have attended to, but overall I think maybe that there was only one day kind of added to it a little bit, maybe potentially.
Yeah, there's sometimes there's a pressure you have to deal with when it's one day that you really focus on the things that you have to do. I mean, time is always nice to have, but when you make some really amazing creative decisions in the sort of like the limiting, when you have limitations on it.
Yeah, it was a lot of last minute rush kind of stuff, and a few even a couple of things got cut that didn't really were meant to kind of add to it a bit, but it sort of gave it more of a mysterious sort of figure it out on your own kind of thing that I like, actually. So it turned out better, I think, from being rushed. It did allow me to not have enough time to think about it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely appreciate that. I wanted to talk to all of you because you're all musicians, and I have an immense amount of respect for musicians because I play a really mean volume knob, and that's the extent of it. It's the two hands doing two different things that I just can't get my body to do. So I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about just your own creative inspirations, whether it's in music or whether it's in movies. Where does that come from? Carl, let's start with you.
I have no idea where it comes from. To be real honest with you, I'm not being a smartass here. If I could figure it out, I would sit down and go to that place and travel in that direction every day. What happens is I just like to grab my guitar or a keyboard and I just like to start noodling, and then something starts to happen. Maybe some words come, maybe they don't. Sometimes things can be done in an hour and a half. Sometimes I'm working on something that I wrote 40 years ago that I just haven't gotten right yet, but I know it's a really good song and I'm going to get it. So it's a matter of sitting down. And again, just I like to play with stuff with no real final destination and just let stuff fall together. And again, it kind of writes itself. I'm just kind of here as the person that follows directions, you know. Not that anyone will ever say that I follow directions, but I do to that. Okay. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's fair. That's fair. You're just the conduit.
That's it.
David, Phoebe, how about you?
Oh, I mean, Phoebe's definitely the more talented musician, even though, you know, it's been fun to jam with her once in a while, you know, with my own merits. But yeah, Phoebe.
Well, thank you. For me, I'm more of a lyricist, so that's where I start. And I have, every time I write a song, it's like a gift and an accident, you know, and I have some lines and they're kind of like punchlines, or maybe they're a poem. And then I figure out how to put music and sing on them. But for me, it's all like lyrical performance, expression, weirdness. And none of it is planned or structured in any way that makes sense.
and Tom, how about you?
I'd say she kind of hit the nail right there for me too. It's just a lot of it's like a lot of like 3 a.m. kind of anger and just like kind of seeing what comes out, and then maybe later on touching it up a little bit. The harmonica really allows me to kind of reach some kind of soul, but I wouldn't even call myself a musician really. I'm more like I like to write, you know, and then in needing to find an outlet for my poetry, I guess I picked up a guitar because people are more inclined to listen to that than a poet, you know. But I'm not really a good musician like the rest of these folks.
I'm there with you, Tom.
Well, I am incredibly disappointed that none of you told me that there's a magical pill that I can take that will teach me guitar.
The practice pill.
That's really sad. Let's sort of talk about just like your work in general. How does this film fit into what you're doing? I know Tommy talks about writing poetry and music. How does film fit into that whole thing?
Who are you asking?
You. I'm sorry. I'm going to start with you. Yeah, you talked about writing poetry. That's okay. And like music, I'm just like wondering how filmmaking fits into your overall creative.
Well, I guess it was kind of a similar thing that like I guess I just have like it's like I have like ideas that I want to convey in a way, and then sometimes there's better ways to convey those ideas. And with this, I guess I just really wanted to convey a visual, you know, and I've always loved making films. You know, I've sort of been doing that since I was younger, and sometimes I almost feel like I'm better at that than music, but I don't want to believe it, because I really like music better. But I don't know. It's just something that I guess I needed to say, that I wanted to say, and a film was the best way to say it at the time.
I'm going to go back. Yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah, and that, you know, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, film and music have had a love affair with each other from the very beginning, right? I mean, when we think about silent films, they were never really truly silent. There was almost always a musical accompaniment with it, and oftentimes there wasn't a set score, so it would really be a musician on a piano or some other instrument at the front of the theater that was really performing that music live along with the images. And sometimes they were just riffing, right? They were just making things up, but it really had some relationship to what was happening on screen. So I think as a musician, it makes a lot of sense to be able to communicate in that way, right? Because it's that marriage has sort of been there from the beginning. Carl, you don't look convinced. Have I convinced you?
No.
I tried.
It's excellent effort.
I tried so hard. What for you? Like, I mean, because you said you like you don't often make videos for your songs, right?
Correct.
So,
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say I think this is the last video I'm going to shoot. I've shot a series of 6 of them. Okay. And what I found is I have my own style, right? It's called bad videos. Okay. And what it works on is that I shoot everything on this. Okay. This is what I shoot everything on. This is my technical thing. It's a Canon power shot. The deal is I work with a $200 budget. Okay. When the $200 are spent, the video is finished shooting. That's why there's so much stock footage in what I do. A lot of what I want to do, I can't afford to do. And the more I shoot, the more I realize how much I don't know and how much it takes to fix this. And it really takes a lot of studying and some really good equipment. And I'm watching people film incredible stuff on their iPhones. And I just get more and more discouraged as to, it's so easy for everybody to do this and put it out. It's like, why am I doing that? You know, and it's like, I think I'd much rather put more of my time into writing the music. What I have been doing is writing to score television and movies, so that I'm still working in cinema, but somebody else is doing all the other work, and I'm just sitting there and making the music part show up, because that I can do. I think as things become more technical, it becomes more troublesome. I don't have a lot of money, so I'm running old computers on old operating systems, and everything that comes out is just something else I have to learn. And while it seems that everything that they put in the new operating system is everything that I just learned done on one button, that pisses me off, right? But the point is I have to go learn how to do everything all over again to push the one button that I finally learned how to do everything with. So I'm at this place where I'm just pissed. And I may be screaming in the street like Tom was at a slightly higher pitch, because I don't have a voice like his. And I wish my voice was down there. I wish, really, you got a great voice. And
thank you.
If there's a secret to that, let me know. But basically, the deal is it's getting harder and harder to do. Anyway, that's my take on it. Did I convince you?
You know what, Carl? Not only did you convince me, I feel the exact same way. I feel like every time something comes out with a new update, and I'm primarily a photographer, and so when something comes out, you have to relearn everything again, right? And it's so frustrating. It makes you want to give up on all of it. So I totally understand, and I'm there with you.
And they also make it easier for everybody else to do it. So whatever skill I have garnered that I've really worked and honed to have a little special place is suddenly, you know, common ground again. And I am very disillusioned by that.
I will say though, that on that note, I think one of the things I love about music really what's important is that music can't, at least not yet, be replicated in that way, right? Like, I mean, there are cheating ways to be able to get around photography, and I feel like that way myself a lot as a creative person, where you're like, you know, because I shoot a lot on film. And so when you go through and you really work with something, you use a specific camera to get something, someone comes along and with a Photoshop plugin does the exact same thing in 25 seconds. You're like, what the hell am I doing here? But I would hope that with music, it hasn't quite gotten there yet. Am I wrong?
No, you're wrong. It's getting close. You can join. I don't know what there are companies that have all snippets of music, and all you have to do is grab this particular piece and that particular piece, and if the BPMs all match up, you can put 13 different things together. You got a song in no time at all, and you have guys teaching you chord progressions to do it in. So within 2 hours, you can write a complete ugly song with no hard stuff, but it's got all the parts that you need. It's got the right progressions, the right everything. So again, it's creeping in everywhere. You know, it's artificial intelligence is not so artificial. It's like it's right here and real.
I think we still like when there's a human decisions behind it. So I mean, you know, Kevin, I would love to learn more about your film work, your film photography one day. So it would be much more interesting for me to hear you talk about it. At least that's for me. More interesting to work and then to hear you talk about it and describe your process, as opposed to knowing, oh, this image was made with a Photoshop plugin. About myself and what I'm interested in, but I mean, I think there's still a definite, and with music as well, I think I know what Carl's talking about, and you could also have, you know, some sort of like computer generated compositions or something. But I think that for whom it matters, which is like people you're trying to reach in an authentic way, they're going to want to know what your thoughts are, I think. I mean, I was thinking about how I've always flirted around, something Carl said, I've always flirted around with music, but I have always really wanted to present music more because I love it so much. I would say it's my #1 passion in terms of any sort of art or any sort of media or anything cultural at all. So, I mean, videos and films for me, it's like music can make or break it. And so that's why if I'm trying to organize film events where there is live music involved, or I'm making short films or music videos, it kind of circles back to the love of music. And then the film is the film is the conduit. It's for me, it's technically all about the music, and then the film is like the emotional kind of body that it fills up.
No, I love
and
that.
so and that's very easy to do with Phoebe's music. Someone like Phoebe. So
Tom, you were nodding earlier. Did you want to chime in?
Well, I definitely think it's a bit of a shame. I'd have to agree with Carl about artificial intelligence and how it's infiltrated all forms of art. And you kind of, it's allowed lazy artists to exist in a sense, you know, like people can really just kind of like make a song. It's hard to even call it that, really. Some of the stuff that you hear on the radio or wherever. I mean, I don't turn on the radio anymore because my ears can't handle such a thing, you know. But I mean, it is said. I mean, it has infiltrated music a little bit, I think, too. You know, a lot actually. You know, I mean, because someone can kind of just. I mean, I'm no singer at all by any means, you know. But I'm not gonna take some kind of thing and modify my voice to make me one, you know. I'm gonna try to be one as best as I can, you know, until I get there. I'm no guitar player, but I'm not gonna add. I'm not gonna speed up my guitar or do some sort of weird thing to it. You know, I mean, there's an allowance of effects, and I mean, we've always had effects. You know, and to say like that you can't use any kind of effects is just silly because people have been using effects since the dawn of forever. You know, I mean, I love Pink Floyd, I love reverb, I love certain kinds of effects, but there's got to be a line, I feel, where it's like you're amplifying music, or are you just creating fake music by pushing a couple buttons on your computer, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you would get in that, Carl, or not, but that bothers me, I guess.
So Phoebe, talk us off this ledge.
Say that again?
I said, talk us off this ledge. What do you think? Are you?
I don't know. I think that there's room for everything. It doesn't have to be for us. I try not to judge, but I get what you're all saying, and I'm not a techie in any way. I just like community and art, and if someone wants to make a fancy video of me, I will allow that. But I don't like seek it out. I just kind of let it happen, and that's kind of how this documentary happened.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And I think there's something, you know, I think as trends come and go, it gives me hope that there still is live performance, right? There still is. I mean, Phoebe, you know, there is still a music community, right? There is still a music community of people, artists who are creating work, performing live work, that kind of thing, which I think is incredible. And you're still doing things, right? I mean, you're still, like, you have another new series that's going on now, right?
So I had, since then, I've done a number of things, but I hosted open mic consistently at Cargo Cafe. And then they went on fire and shut down for a little while. And I resumed at Leedy's Bar, which is on Richmond Terrace. And then a pandemic happened. And then I resumed on Zoom. And that's actually been pretty effective because people can come from all over. And we usually have like 25 people, and people can donate to Venmo, whereas at the bar, people weren't buying booze. Therefore, I wasn't getting paid anything. So it's kind of, you know, if it feels a little bit like sink or swim, and I'm trying to stay afloat. You know, we just have to become robots sometimes.
So now, Carl, we have a question from the audience for you. I'm going to start with the first one. And they wanted to know specifically about the effects that you used in your film, the visual effects, and sort of what you were, if you were thinking about them when you were shooting, and what that process was like for you. And if you don't like the question, you can.
No, I'm trying to figure out which
George.
effect, because I use several different kinds in several ways. I think what happens is I shoot what I think is like the bare shot without the effect, and then something in my brain says it needs something, and then I look at it, and then I kind of try some different things. But oftentimes it's because whatever's there doesn't stand on its own and can just be made more powerful by you know, in the case of Steve, the fire behind him and the hypnotic wheel behind him and that kind of stuff. It just felt like it was all part of different ways of describing the power and the influence in the ways that I feel that they existed. As far as some of the other images, again, it's all stock footage that I use because I can't shoot any of what I got in my brain. I can't afford it. And I certainly, you know, it takes me years to just shoot myself here. I don't mean that literally, but well, maybe I do. I don't know. But it's a matter of when I start going through the stock footage and I start looking at stuff, then I get more ideas. I say with somebody else, then I say, oh, that's not, I could borrow this or whatever. So it comes from basically just a sense of knowing that I need more, if that answers that question.
Yeah, I think so. We have another question for Tom asking about directors, filmmakers that have influenced you in making Better Luck. If there was someone you were sort of thinking about when you were putting it together.
That I was thinking about when I put it together.
Yeah. Or just that it may have influenced the film.
I guess I don't know. That's I guess any any street musician, really. I think kind of how it started was that I don't know, whenever I go to Manhattan, I always try to find a street musician that I like and give them a decent tip, you know. And I don't know, I just imagine as a street musician, especially if that's like your gig, even though you can make some good money depending where you do it, it's gotta be tough. And that's kind of who I was thinking about. Myself too, I guess, not to sound completely selfish, but definitely myself.
Yeah. David, I want to ask you, you had
Yeah.
to have who knows how much footage. Talk about the post-production process and like how you were able to sort of get to the final cut of the movie.
Basically, I think I'm not sure if Phoebe had a vision for, oh well, basically like it'll be all of the last three or last two shows filmed, and I think based on what Audrey and I were collecting, it felt like it was going to be stronger with um, footage interspersed with interviews instead of like the whole show filmed like a tour film or a tour video or something, and then a string of interviews all together. I mean, I was definitely influenced by like these old tour films that get put on VHS that you could find uploaded on YouTube from bands in the 80s and 90s. Um, Kind of behind the scenes hijinks, but also kind of off the cuff interviews. And so that was definitely, I was thinking of that. And so I had in my mind something that was going to be short enough to be consumable, so to speak, but long enough that it was going to give different performances their due and their credit, and kind of make a thesis. And the thesis being that Phoebe was doing something really great with and for the community during those years. And so, yeah, I had my and Audrey's footage totaled about 50 minutes. And the film is, I think, 12 minutes now. Yeah. So there a lot was chopped off.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll be in the DVD bonus disc.
Yeah, yeah.
Limited edition.
Yeah.
Exactly. The Beyond director's cut. um, so Phoebe, how did you put together the program? How did you find the musicians? Is that just people you knew, people who were auditioning? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, over the course of so many years, I kept meeting different artsy people at shows, open mics, and communities, and outside of Staten Island too, the other boroughs, other states. People eventually were finding me on like Facebook and stuff and saying, hey, I'm from like Spain, I'm going on tour, I know so and so from Brooklyn, they connected me to you, and then can I play your event and sleep on your floor that night? And I'm like, yes, if that's what you want to do, sure. And there really was no money in it for anybody involved. But yeah, it was a passion project that was, not just about me. It was about community and connecting and stuff. And I don't know, every month somehow there would be another 6 people that just happened really quite easily. But it was a challenge, and it was exciting. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it's really great to have. I mean, one of the things we really loved about, your film is the idea of like giving home and voice to Staten Island musicians, right? And all of you guys like showing that there is talent here, and there's incredible talent here, and making sure that people know that it's out there. That's one of the reasons why we put together this entire film festival, was to really show that there's some really incredibly talented people here on Staten Island. So, that's really amazing. One last question as we're going around. A lot of us have had, some of you are longtime filmmakers, some of you have made a few films, but I want to address you all as just sort of creatives. And one of the things I love knowing from everyone who's a creative, what was your worst day creating something, like in the creative process, just like thinking back, like a problem you had to overcome, and how did you overcome it? And it could be with this project or any project. Just something we were like, oh man, this is really hard to get through, but I have to get through it. David, sounds like you have one.
Thinking about definitely being on a film shoot. There was a string of 1.5 or 2 years where I was trying to cut it as a full-time freelance videographer and photographer, with some tutoring and some like extra work here and there as well. And so I would try to take on any kind of different camera roll that I could. A lot of cold shoots, a lot of shoots where directors or people were trying to pass off a November or December day as a July day. And so, all the multiple takes and me just kind of bundled up with 2 pairs of tights and jeans and and of course, this is just like 1 or 2 days. I have friends or colleagues that are videographers by trade. And so, that kind of wears on their back or shoulders. But I mean, I even had one project I had to say no to because it was like this horror film that I guess was even too even pushed my boundaries. That was a long time ago. So but I would say just kind of like the physicality of shooting, because I like being on set when I do get to be on set, or when I make my own set, and so, or make an event, and so I like collaborating with people in the moment. So it's really just the physicality, because I like to work with all different types of people. It's really just the shoulder aches.
Yeah. Phoebe, how about you?
The only thing I could come up with off the cuff is just knowing like your self-worth, and after so many years of doing stuff for free, realizing that like if you're going to do something regularly and take time to do it and make a nice event or whatever, is like sort of name your price, or try to get in the ballpark of what your price is. And not sometimes all that means is like a free drink and pass the tip jar around, and if that's all that's available, like okay, but just know your self-worth and stuff and have some confidence. And that's something I had to kind of learn.
Tom, how about you?
Worst day creating? That was a question, right?
Yeah. Or just the hardest day, yeah.
I feel like kind of every day is like the worst day, and then every once in a while you get like this small portal where the gates open and you can create some really good shit or stuff. I don't know if this is like PG. And that's when you gotta like hop on it, I feel, and that those are the good days. But other than that, I feel like a lot of the time it's kind of a dead zone, and then you get these great moments where you just come up with some really amazing stuff, but it's frustrating most of the time, because to create and to be artistic goes against like all the norms of how we construct society and life. So it's always like you're kind of like going against the current, and then every once in a while the current goes in your way and you're like, okay. I don't know. I can't think of a specific day though. I don't know.
Okay. No, that works perfectly. And Carl, how about you?
I come at this from 2 directions. My life now is one where I have my own recording studio at home, so I have no pressure to do anything about doing it right or wrong. If I do it, whatever it is, I do it whatever way I want. And it's the same with the videos. If I want to I have no deadlines. I don't need to show up for anything. So no matter what I do wrong, I can always do it again. I think the worst thing that happens is that maybe I erased something that was really important and I have to go back and I have to do it again, and I get annoyed at that. In my other life, before I did this, I was the audio head at the BAM Opera House, and that place taught me how to deal with live catastrophes on the spot that were just unbelievable, and we would make the show happen regardless of what happened right then and there. I had days where I actually I actually, I worked on Broadway for about 3 years, and I actually accidentally erased the entire audio, the technical, the board, all the board information. And I had to tell the people that I did it and own that I screwed it up. Probably one of the worst moments in my life was to go and, everybody's telling, blame the equipment, blame this, blame that. And I said, no, I gotta be honest. And I went in and I told them that, that I had, there was, somebody wrote a macro. You know how you normally go and the computer asks you, are you sure? Well, when they were writing the show, somebody wrote a macro so they wouldn't have to answer that every time. So I'm figuring, I'm wondering, I said, somebody's going to ask me, are you sure? And I'll just say no, and I'll backtrack. And when the time came, I did that and the show was gone. It cost them 2 weeks of people coming in to rewrite the entire show while I did everything manually that I was worried about. But the bottom line is that it all worked out, and my name was mentioned in the same sentence as the word integrity without the word lack of in front of it. The fact that and everybody stepped up and everybody owned what they did. But probably the worst day of my life was when I erased that Broadway show. Not cinema, but that's where I learned that everything's okay. It'll all work itself out.
Wow.
No, that's fine. And I want to end on a high note. So I'm going to go back around again. We talked about your most difficult day. What has been your best moment, your best creative moment? David, I won't put you on the spot for that one. Phoebe, I'm actually going to start with you.
Me?
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh man, these are tough. I wish I had them in advance. I don't know. There's been a lot of good things. This let's just be cheesy and say this documentary was the best thing that happened.
I'm gonna say that
to me creatively. Can I say that? Is that okay?
You can say that. You can say whatever you want to say.
No, for real. It's nice to document in a time where everything is like fast and fleeting. Social media, Instagram stories, it's there and then it's gone. It's nice to kind of hold something and it'll always be there to look back on. And I'm not getting any younger. Those were like my prime days.
That's fair. That's fair. Tom, how about you?
She kind of stole my cheesy answer. I was gonna say this moment right now is my best creative moment, but shit, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm hoping that moment is yet to come. So I love this film that I just made. Not to sound arrogant, but I'm really really happy with it, and I got another one hopefully done by the end of the summer, and hopefully just keeps getting better for everybody. I mean, this island really has a lot of great creative people, and it's always it's kind of I feel like we're overshadowed by the other four boroughs, but I think because we have so many true New Yorkers and so many people who are born and raised here and have really dealt with the grit their whole lives, I think we have more art, honestly, and more gritty art and a closer, more tight-knit community than in other boroughs. And I just look forward to it getting better and better, and hopefully like a good thing that could come out of this pandemic is that from like the depraved horribleness that is our reality right now, that great art will be created from that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's my cheesy answer. So next.
No, it's a great answer. It's a great answer.
Thank you.
Carl, other than the day that audio programming was redone.
I really like playing live. I do a number of gigs with my brother. Okay. Some of my favorite things are singing harmony with him when our voices blend and we just do some stuff that just makes you feel good all over inside, and it's neat. We also do a kind of interactive show. We're kind of funny. So when we get everybody laughing and we get everybody in a really good space and the evening's over and everybody leaves in a good mood, I really feel that's my thing is that I made somebody feel a little bit better during the day. When we don't always get there, but when we do, it's really cool.
That's great. And David.
Right. Well, I don't want to be dishonest, Tom. I'm sorry. I just moved to Brooklyn 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you traitor. You traitor.
Primarily for work, but I mean,
yeah.
the fact that I put a cap on the project with Phoebe and Audrey Bear, and that it is being recognized like this along with your work and Carl's work. It's really cool. And I would say that, I mean, you know, being recognized is again really cool, and so I'm really honored, and I want to prove Phoebe wrong and say, you know, maybe we'll make a music documentary when she's 50 whatever or 60 whatever, and then she'll say, oh, I guess these were my glory days. But I wonder what that'll look like. Maybe we'll be pressing robot buttons, you know.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you all so very much for taking the time to talk with us today. Really great work, and we're so happy to have been able to have it be part of the Downtown Film Fest. Wishing all of you the very best of luck. The films are still available if you haven't had a chance to watch them yet. They are still available to watch until midnight tonight. The same thing holds true for all the films in the festival. Thank you guys ever so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Good luck, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everybody. Stay safe.